So it's time to kill Diurna and there's no time to research. Don't worry, I got you, so let's get started. So you might have noticed that this room is full of eggs, and on normal there's 24, on heroic 28 and on mythic 32. And this will be relevant in just a second. But if you look at Diurna's buffs, you can actually see the number of how many eggs are still alive. So grab that number and multiply it by 2, and then you get how much HP percent the boss will become immune to damage. So the only way to kill the boss is to actually get rid of those eggs. And the way that we do that is with the great staff of Broodkeeper. This is like a circle zone and the stuff inside that just deals damage, so don't be inside, and once it's dropped, players can actually walk inside and interact with it through the help of a special extra button. When you use this stuff, it will shoot out a laser beam that will follow you around, and you can actually take that beam through the eggs and break the eggs with the beam. Another way those eggs will disappear is if they hatch through the help of rapid incubation. This just puts a timer on the closest 2 eggs to Diurna, and if you don't break those eggs with the laser, then an ad will spawn. Now, in theory, you could let the ads spawn and try to kill them, but that's really bad because nearby ads to the boss will buff them tremendously, and this will very likely cause a raid wipe. And you have to have people taunt and bring them to the ad team, and that is just messy. So honestly, just break the 2 damn eggs with the timer. Keep in mind that the laser has 3 charges, but you don't have to use them, but you can use them, and that's completely up to you. Another mechanic is Wildfire, typical massive spread with fire circles around you, and Icy Shroud, which is just a heal absorb that you either dispel or heal, and guess what, Revival is really broken for this mechanic. Finally, tanks, I have not forgotten you, but you'll have to deal with some tank mechanics. But on this fight, these tank mechanics are no longer a hey, you need to taunt swap, but more of a hey, use the defensive because you're about to take a lot of damage. And this is just because one tank will be permanently on boss and another tank permanently on odds. And speaking of odds, there's a bunch of them, coming from different patterns. We recommend using a weak aura, check the description below, to help you track where to go and when. And I'll talk about Puffing in just a second, but back to the odds. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. But important ones to memorize are both the mages and Stormbringers because they will require you to interrupt them. Honestly, just have an interrupt rotation for each one of them and you should be fine. Onto another very important ad, and that's the Frost Proto-Drake, which at some point will start doing a tantrum. This deals massive amounts of damage to the raid and you definitely want to kill it ASAP. Finally, the other ones are not really that important. Before talking about heroic, don't forget that once all eggs are done, you go into phase 2, and the boss will become enraged, and the mechanics will behave somewhat different. So great stuff will now chase random players, just to run and use a lot of healing cooldowns, wildfires will reignite, and finally, the heal absorb will now immobilize everyone into a frost tomb. However, you can still cast, so either massive heal, blink, immune, or even better, revival. On heroic, in addition to having more eggs, every time you break an egg, you will get a debuff that makes breaking another egg hit even harder on the raid. And speaking of eggs, you'll have to do 3 of them simultaneously at some point, since sometimes you'll get packs of 2 and sometimes you'll get packs of 3. Overall, planning your route is really important because you don't want your ad team to be nearby your tank team at any point during the fight, except last phase. This right here is roughly where each ad spawn point is, give or take a little bit, more to the left or right, and this right here is our tank route for the eggs. This screenshot shows you our initial pre-plan before going into the fight, but with a few pulls we figured out that the best route by far was starting at position 1 with the triple eggs, then go position 2, into 3 and 4, and then we actually go into position 12. After this we went into position 5 with a rally and then onto position 6. At this point we could take 2 different routes, but we found that the best one for us was going into position 9 and then 10, which is a triple one and you'll want a massive raid heal cooldown here or a rally, and then into position 11. As we finish position 11 really fast because our ad team is actually coming to where we are, then we go quickly to position 8 and then finish with position 7, yet another triple egg, which will require another healing CD or just another rally. At this point, we merge everything, bloodlust, and kill the boss, saving revival for Frozen Shroud and other cooldowns for stuff. Finally, the ads have a couple more mechanics on heroic, but nothing special besides more of them will have specific unique tank stuff to make your tanks suffer, and the Flamebender will actually use cauterizing flash flames, which heals other mobs, aka you have to dispel or purge them, but also heals enemies, aka us, so that's really nice. And that's it for Broodkeeper Diurna. Alright, thank you for watching, and if this has helped you at all, please consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care!